By the end of this episode, you are going to understand the most important mindset shifts so you can start thinking like the person who's already at the next level. And you will walk away with 3 things you can immediately implement into your daily routine to make it a reality. And I'm not just pulling this from thin air, it comes from years of reflecting on my own career successes and my own online businesses, but also studying the most influential people of our generation and even running their words and transcripts through ChatGPT to find out the patterns of how they think. But first off, let me tell you a story, as this will prove just how important this mindset shift is. So back in 2023, I invested thousands into a mentorship with my good friend, Connor Carlson. And Connor built one of, if not the biggest fitness businesses in Ireland. And when he launched his mentoring program, I was one of the first to sign up. And he gave me everything I could possibly need at the time to scale my online fitness business. I'm talking advanced sales call scripts, data and metric tracking spreadsheets and systems to identify my business constraints, DM messaging and outreach scripts, pricing strategies to increase upfront cash collection and lifetime value of clients, like everything. The advice was genuinely world class. And for the record, I'm not just saying that because he's one of my closest friends. It genuinely was. It's the truth. But do you want to know how much my revenue grew as a result? 0, like genuinely. And that had absolutely nothing to do with the advice that he gave me, but it had everything to do with the fact that I just didn't believe in myself at the time. I was a completely different person. And I constantly procrastinated on every single task that he asked me to do. Tracking data gave me anxiety, so I just point blank refused to do it. I had no confidence to sell higher prices or upfront packages on calls. Outreach felt like cringe, so I never hit my targets. I could give you a load of examples, but that's just to name a few. I just didn't pull my weight. But the reason I tell you this is because it wasn't the strategy that was wrong. It was the simple fact I wasn't in the headspace to execute what I needed to do to move my business forward. It all came down to one thing really, a lack of self-confidence and an overwhelming sense of fear. And at the time, I didn't really see or understand that. But now when I look back, it's pretty clear why I couldn't get past that sticking point in my business. It was solely down to the mental state that I was operating it from. And this is exactly why I believe mindset is the single most important factor in reaching the next level of your business. So that's what this episode is really about. It's operationalizing the exact mindset shifts you have to make if you want to reach that next level in business. Because if you don't, you'll stay in the exact same place that you are in right now. And that's not a scare tactic. That's just me telling you the truth, so you don't make the same mistakes I did. So a few months ago, I went through a little bit of a strange phase. Every night I'd sit and watch YouTubes of old interviews from the most influential people of our generation. Think Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, like that type of person. People who are genuinely so other. And no, I don't think anyone can reach their level of intellect or innovation, but I do think we can learn a lot from them. And me being the AI obsessed weirdo that I am, I literally copy and pasted a lot of their transcripts from the interviews into ChatGPT. And I gave it a big long-winded prompt, which in simple terms said something like, analyze these interviews and draw me 3 common traits that show up across all of their success stories. And what came back to me were 3 traits. Number 1 being completely goal obsessed, which they definitely were. Their goals were never wishes, they were absolutely obsessed, where every single part of their waking day was focused on building the businesses that we see today, Apple, Tesla, SpaceX, Amazon. And this obsession, they of course had to make countless sacrifices throughout their career to make it a reality, where they had very little personal life. They all worked 7 days a week, every hour humanly possible, and were prepared to do absolutely anything to make their vision a reality. It was never a case of if it would work for them. It was always, this will work no matter what they had to sacrifice for it. So for you listening right now, don't just ask yourself, what is the goal? Ask yourself, What am I actually prepared to give up to make my success a reality? Because that's the only thing that really matters when you set goals, is the sacrifices you're prepared to make. Number 2 was faith. In simple terms, faith means believing in yourself before there's any sign of success. And the way that they built that was very, very simple. They told themselves they would do something and always then went on to do it. AKA, they kept every single promise that they made to themselves. They had an idea, but every single time they backed it up with action to make it happen. Every promise we keep to ourselves becomes evidence in the future. Evidence that says to yourself, this will happen because when I say I do things, I actually do them. So ask yourself the question in your head right now. What are the promises you are breaking with yourself every single day? Because trust me, every single one of them matters more than you probably realize. As every time you break a promise to yourself, it's the exact same principle as when someone in your life breaks a promise to you. You stop trusting them. And this is what happens with your own internal self-talk. So if you want to succeed in life, you have to do everything you can to back yourself. And that can only be done by sticking to your word and building confidence. Otherwise, you compromise the single most important foundation of your success, your own self-belief. Section 2, the power of responsibility. Now, let's talk about responsibility and how this can be one of the biggest unlocks to operating at that next level. Because everyone likes the sound of success and the traits that come with it, like being disciplined, being resilient, having courage when you've got big decisions to make. But the truth is, those traits can't come from ever being comfortable. The only time you develop those traits is in hard or difficult times when you're forced to use those things cognitively in your mind. As I stopped seeing responsibility as a burden like most of us do, and I started seeing it as the single greatest opportunity to progress from a mental standpoint, because you can start then reframing situations and think, if I just get through this part of my life right now, it's a lesson learned and another step closer to the person that I want to become. And this isn't just like a theoretical thing. Neuroscience physically proves this from brain studies. When we take on responsibility, your brain literally rewires itself in real time. New parts of your brain activate as you learn new things. And when new neural pathways connect, more of your brain switches on, like physically. And the more you can repeat that process, the stronger those connections become through the concept of neuroplasticity. So in simple, don't see responsibility as a punishment. See it as the only way to grow mentally. Learn to lean into those hard things, not because it's easy, but because it's forming the person that you want to become. And the best part, it's absolutely free. It does not cost a penny, and it's available to every single one of us right here and right now. And the more that you lean into it, the more capable your future self will become. Section 3, the mindset gap of going from a 3K business owner to a 20K business owner, and what actually separates the two. And I'm going to give you one clue right now. It's not systems, funnels, marketing, or even sales processes. It comes down to emotional regulation and stress resilience. And what I mean by that in simple terms is, how well can you still operate when you are stressed? Because being emotionally regulated doesn't mean you never feel stress. We are all human. We are made to have stress, and that's why we have two nervous systems. It's within us. The problem is when you cannot pull yourself back to an emotional baseline where you can think out of a place of logic with clarity. And I know you too will have experienced this at some point, just like I have, where you have made decisions out of emotion and then probably instantly regretted them, because nothing good ever comes out of emotional decisions. And we all know that, as that decision is always coming from a place of fear and not logic. And when we make decisions from that place, we underestimate the opportunity and overestimate the risk, which is the limitation almost every business owner has. So instead of you asking yourself, what if this goes really well, you become fixated on all the things that could go wrong. And then what happens? It goes wrong. Because as we know, where we place our focus is where we place our energy. So let me give you a few examples I see all the time inside the coach creator. The 3K coach skips content when they get stressed or overwhelmed. They stop doing lead generation because they've had a busy week and they feel stressed. They let feelings dictate their actions. Whereas the 20K coach, they execute despite fear, self-doubt, or stress. They stick to the calendar religiously, no matter what's happening in their personal life. And I want to be clear on this one thing, because it's a big misconception that I certainly used to have. which was thinking successful people or entrepreneurs don't ever feel fear or they don't ever doubt themselves. But that's not really the case. They feel fear just like everyone else. The only difference is they have their ability to regulate their emotions and bring their stress levels down and act from logic regardless. And that's what emotional regulation looks like in high performers. It's shortening that gap from being triggered by something externally and then doing what needs to be done anyway from a place of logic. And if you do it so many times, it's no longer a decision, but it becomes a habit. Section 4, managing overwhelm. Before we talk about managing overwhelm, we need to understand where it actually comes from. And I personally see this in a very simple way. It usually comes from one of two things. Number one, you don't actually know what to do next, so you feel overwhelmed. Or number two, you know what to do, but you know that you're avoiding it. And let's be real, most of us probably fall into the latter. So here are two very simple Alex Hormozi classic questions that will help you fix it. Number one, what would I do right now if I wasn't afraid? Or number two, what's the one problem I'm solving for today? And when you ask yourself these questions, you instantly gain focus. And the focus is what's missing when you feel overwhelmed. So simply regain your focus, because when you ask yourself these questions, you focus on what you should be doing right now if there were no consequences to your actions, whilst also identifying the most important task in your business right now, so you can instantly form a priority list of what needs to be done. It sounds really simple, but honestly, it's so powerful. And if you really struggle to make those decisions in the moment, here's a tip I like to personally use when it comes to regulating my nervous system with breath work. And I know it sounds a bit mad or a little bit airy-fairy, but if we think about it, when we are overwhelmed, the chances are your body is in a physiological fight or flight mode. So we need to reset our nervous system, and breath work does exactly that. It reoxygenates the body, it improves blood flow to the brain, it slows resting heart rate, because if your body is in fight or flight, your brain physically cannot think logically. So overwhelm isn't just identifying the task that needs to be done, it's about managing your physiological state too. Section 5, practical tools to operate like that person. So if I was going to give you my top 3 practical tools that you can use every single day to operate the next level, what would they be? Number 1, visualization. This is honestly the single most important one. And I know that it might sound cliche, so stick with me, because you have to become the person you want to be before you actually be them. In simple terms, fake it before you make it. So think about the person who is already at that next level. How would that person act in this situation? How would they handle it? What decisions would they make? It's just like bodybuilding. You don't become a pro bodybuilder and then all of a sudden start acting like one. It doesn't work like that. You act like one before you earn the title. It's exactly as chapter 3 explains in the book Manifest. Align your behaviors not to who you are now, but to the person that you want to be in the future. And here's the neuroscience to show you just how important this is. As when you do visualization properly, and when I say properly, I mean you go into a meditative state, you slow your mind down in your brain waves, and you focus on that vision and emotionalize it too. The brain then genuinely does not know the difference between your reality and the imaginative state. So you can literally rewire your brain to convince yourself you're already living that life. And then what happens? Your reticular activating system switches on. Your brain automatically starts scanning your environment in real time for the opportunities that you want to create. And that's why I believe coincidences don't exist. Like when people start showing up in your life at the perfect time, or ideas just start clicking, or things start aligning and falling in place, that's not coincidence. That's because your brain is focusing on the things to take you a step closer to that reality that you've formed in your visualization. And that's why almost every high-level athlete does this. It's why Formula One drivers rehearse entire laps with their eyes closed before races, because you can rewire your brain based on visualization and motion alone. You don't even have to live it. So here's one simple action I want you to do every day. Spend 10 minutes, non-negotiable, every morning, picturing that next day ahead. But this is the really important part. Don't just think about the good parts, the problems that might arise too. When you prepare for setbacks in advance, if they do happen, you're totally unfazed because you've already got the solution in place. Number 2 would be stress-based training, learning to lean into uncomfortable situations with intention. This is exactly why I preach things like saunas, ice baths, HIIT cardio, long fasted periods, and even now breath holds for CO2 tolerance practice, because they all do one thing, and that is create what Goggins calls voluntary discomfort, where you deliberately put yourself into stress so you are always prepared for it when life hits us. So the real question isn't, is life gonna throw these challenges at you? Because let's be real, it's always going to. So if you can train your mind to stay calm in extreme stress that could genuinely kill you, like ice baths and breath holds, then the day-to-day stresses of business won't even touch you. So here's the action you can start to take every single day. For me, this looks like daily breath work and breath holds first thing in the morning when I get out of bed, straight after I brush my teeth, non-negotiable. I do 3 saunas and ice bath sessions weekly. I'll do 2 hard hit cardio sessions on my rest day, and I fast every day from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. And just make it a habit and watch your stress resilience transform. And trust me when I say, there is no more liberating feeling when you sit in a situation that you would once find stressful and now you're totally unfazed. It's so liberating. It feels like you've completed life. Number 3 is use noise versus signal tasks. And I want you to think of it like this. Signal refers to the key tasks that move you closer to your primary goal. Noise refers to things that might feel productive but don't actually get you any closer to achieving it. That way the goal becomes very simple. Spend as many hours every day on signal tasks. So for example, in business, if leads are your problem, focus solely on marketing and client acquisition. If conversion's the problem, focus on sales processes. If retention's the problem, focus on improving client delivery and retention models. You get the idea. So here's how I implement it. Every morning, I sit down and write 3 non-negotiables in my daily planner. These are my signal tasks. And before I start work every day, I make sure that I tick off those 3 tasks as a non-negotiable. And I guarantee if you do that month after month, year after year, you will watch your business success transform faster than you ever thought possible. So to wrap up, here's what I want you to remember from this. If you are truly serious about operating at the next level, then remember these things. Number 1, strategy is irrelevant without mindset. Number 2, emotional regulation is the separator from going from good to great. Number 3, responsibility is the secret to rewire your mind. Number 4, overwhelm isn't bad. It shows you just how to regain focus and clarity. And if you master your mindset to this degree of accuracy, success is no longer an if, it's just a matter of when. Visualize daily, put yourself through daily stress, and write 3 non-negotiables, signal tasks every single morning. And if you do it for 30 days, watch your productivity, your internal self-belief, and your confidence just transform before your eyes. But I want to thank you guys for watching so far. And if you're enjoying these videos, please do leave a comment below and make sure you are subscribed, as I do truly love doing this type of content, as I know someone else needs to hear it, just like I did. But as we always say, if you rewire your mind, you redefine your future, because you are built different.